mean, you write the book, Vegetation Over Medication, and you say in the book, when toxins accumulate, our health and vitality is connected to our ability to eliminate waste from our bodies. Once the body reaches its toxic threshold, disease will most certainly appear.
Absolutely.
And so you talked about the colitis, the knees and joints, rheumatoid arthritis. Sometimes I think we listen to our families and it's like, you just think you're supposed to get arthritis when you get
Yeah.
older.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's because the knees and the joints have inflammation.
Yep.
It's because the kidneys have inflammation.
Yep. Nephritis.
Yeah.
Anything that says itis means inflammation. So
Really?
Yeah. So nephritis is in the kidneys. Nephron being nephrons that are the little filtering units in the kidneys. You have over 1 million, and when you get down to 250,000, that's when you're starting to go on dialysis. Okay. So your filtering units are essentially depleting. And that's happening because inflammation. And what does the kidney get rid of? Urine. What is urine? Uric acid. And so as you build up acid in tissues, it begins to break down those tissues. It begins to cause an irritation. It begins to cause inflammation in those tissues. But it's not just solely dependent in the kidneys. That can happen in the knees or the ankles or the wrists, and we call it arthritis. That could also happen in the gut, and we call it colitis. Doesn't matter. In the thyroid, it's called thyroiditis. Okay, so it doesn't matter where it happens, but when disease begins to form in the body, it's going to begin with an irritation. That irritation is going to cause an inflammation. That inflammation over time, like chronic time, it begins to cause the tissues to break down. And as the tissues break down, that is what breaks down organs, and that's what breaks down organ systems. So it's always dependent on where does it occur, okay? So if somebody has cardiovascular disease, it's simply because that irritation, that inflammation is happening in the cardiovascular system. And so that's what I was learning as I'm going through my journey, that I'm realizing that I didn't get this information when I was working in the hospital.
Absolutely not.
When I was working for the FDA. And this is why we're not addressing that. So when you get an inflamed tissue, you go to the doctor, they give you an anti-inflammatory. But that didn't cause the actual irritation. It's probably the food.
Yeah.
It's probably the lifestyle that actually caused the irritation. So you can get rid of the inflammation and feel better. But that's just like a check engine light. Your check engine light can be on, and you can go to your mechanic, and he could take one of the plugs off of the battery, and now it resets the car, and you don't have a check engine light on anymore.
Right.
But you still need to change your oil change. You still need to change your oil. And that's what happens in healthcare. We're only addressing the symptoms. If you have mucus, we give you Mucinex, okay? It stops the mucus from coming up, but your body was actually trying to produce the mucus to get the infection out. So instead of you getting the infection out, now the infection is growing in the body. Now you think you're better because you're not producing mucus anymore.
Yeah. And I think so often in this country, we're just putting band-aids over these wounds,
Yep.
right? These gaping wounds.
Yep.
We just try to keep putting a band-aid over it.
Yeah.
And then when we look at our community, right, the statistics are there.
Yeah.
I mean, 80% of black women overweight or obese.
Yep.
60% of us are suffering from some form of diabetes
Yep.
or chronic disease or illness.
Right.
According to the Department of Health and Human Services, 13.4% of black men and 12.7% of black women have been diagnosed with diabetes.
Right.
Combined, the rate is 60% higher than whites.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it always, we have to go back to the irritation, okay? Because at the end of the day, the body in its original form is perfect. It's designed to heal itself. It's designed to regenerate itself. If I get a cut here, you get a cut there, you don't worry about it because you understand that the blood is going to clot to stop the blood bleeding. And then eventually it's going to create a scab, and that scab is eventually going to heal, and then you're not even going to know you had a cut.
Yeah.
So we know that the body is capable of regenerating and healing itself, okay? But we only think that applies when it comes to a cut. But it also applies when we come to the inside of our bodies as well, too. But the issue is that we're misaligned. We're misaligned in how we eat. We're misaligned in how we think. We're misaligned in how we drink. We're misaligned in every way that contributes to our health. We don't even get sunlight anymore. Most people spend most of their day in home
Yeah.
They get in a car, covered. They drive to a parking deck, walk through covered parking into a building, spend 8 hours there. They never see the sun.
Come out, it's dark,
It's dark
or the
again.
sun's going down.
With some people,
Yeah.
we're designed to
Yeah.
be in the sun. Like no plant life would exist without the sun. We can collect energy by simply putting up solar panels and be able to power an entire city. Okay, so that tells you the power of the sun. But having this melanin, this tells you that you need even more sun than anybody else in the world as well too.
Yeah.
So we're just so disconnected from nature. We're so disconnected from divine law that this is why we're so sick. And then the food isn't real. Nothing is real anymore. The food isn't real. Most of it is genetically modified and lab grown. Okay, so that's not real. Our connections with each other, they're not real anymore as well too. When you start to break down and really look at what is really real anymore, like nothing's real anymore. Like we're literally living in that matrix that the movie was talking about.
Yeah.
And that's why we're so disconnected from ourselves.
I mean, okay, so you promote a plant-based lifestyle, and I know that there are so many people out here who they're gonna say, "Oh no, doc,
Yeah,
he can't be talking about me. I got to have my meat, doc."
right.
What do you tell those people?
Man, so that's part of the conversation that I was just having is we have this propensity to be in a toxic relationship with things that don't serve us.
Yeah.
And so my thing to people is that, first of all, understand that I come from that kind of food. So first of all, there's no judgment at all. I used to eat probably worse than most people eat.
Yeah.
But when the new information came, I made changes not based upon just on how I think and my beliefs, but I made changes in my traditions and my cultures as well too. Because what I understood is that the food that I was eating, even though it connected me culturally and traditionally to my family and friends and the people that I love, it's an abomination compared to what the original food was.
Yeah, it's not the same food.
Yeah,
Like,
and so it's not the same food in that regard.
if that blessed you, trust me, you've only scratched the surface. There's so much more wisdom, truth, and transformation waiting in the full conversation. Click the link in the caption below to watch the entire interview, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss an episode of Vault Empowers Talks.